I never questioned my mother's stories about my dad. He died in a car accident when I was 6. That's what she said. Every time I asked about him, her voice would tremble just enough to make me stop. But lies have a way of aging badly. "Mom," I said one night, standing in the kitchen as she poured herself wine, "what kind of car did Dad drive?" She froze mid-pour. "Why?" "Just curious, I found a toy car in one of your boxes. It had his initials scratched underneath." Her hand shook slightly. "He drove a Honda, blue." The thing was, the toy was red. I let it go, but something in her eyes that night, a flicker, like she'd just been caught remembering something she shouldn't. A week later, I was at Grandma's house, helping clean the attic before it was sold. The air smelled of cedar and dust. My hands brushed across old Christmas decorations, photo albums, and a small wooden box tucked behind a trunk. It was locked, but my grandmother had always been predictable. I found a small brass key in her jewelry box. Inside were photos. Dad, smiling, holding me as a baby. And then another one, dated 2 years after he supposedly died. He looked older, maybe leaner, but alive. A folded letter was tucked behind the photo. "Diane, I'm sorry for everything. I just need to see her again. Please don't shut me out." My stomach twisted. Diane, my mother's name. I heard footsteps creak downstairs. Mom's voice, faint but unmistakable. She'd come to pick me up early. I shoved the photo and letter into my jacket and climbed down the ladder, heart hammering. She smiled when she saw me. "Find anything interesting?" I forced a laugh. "Just old junk." In the car, she hummed softly, like she always did when she was relaxed. I stared at the window, the letter burning in my pocket. "Mom," I said finally, "did Dad write to you after he died?" Her fingers tightened on the steering wheel. "What kind of question is that?" "I don't know, what if he didn't die? What if..." She stopped. Her voice was sharp enough to make me flinch. "Emily, don't start this again. You were a child. You don't remember what it was like." "What wasn't like what? Losing a husband or lying about one?" Her face went white. "Watch your tone." "I found a photo," I said quietly. "He was alive 2 years later, so unless ghosts take pictures..." She slammed on the brakes. The car jolted to a stop on the empty road. We sat there, breathing hard, not looking at each other. She gave it to me. "What?" "The photo." "I didn't say I had it." She turned to me, her eyes glistening, not with guilt, but fear. "You don't understand what he did, Emily. You don't want to. Then explain it. Tell me the truth." But she didn't. She just restarted the car, her jaw tight, her silence louder than any confession. That was the moment I knew. My mom had lied, and whatever the truth was, she was terrified of me finding it. The photograph haunted me. I kept it hidden under my mattress for 3 days, long enough for guilt to start whispering, but not long enough for curiosity to die. Every time I looked at it, my father's eyes seemed to follow me. He looked alive, real, present. And then there was the background, a sign behind him, Whitaker Auto and Repairs, Asheville, NC. I couldn't stop staring at that sign. Asheville was only 5 hours away. By the 4th night, I made up my mind. "Road trip?" my best friend Sophie repeated the next morning, raising an eyebrow over her coffee. "Yeah," I said, pretending to sound casual. "Just need a break, some air." "Since when do you take spontaneous trips?" "Since I started finding out my mom might have lied about my dad's death." She nearly choked on her drink. "Wait, what?" I showed her the photo. Sophie studied it like she was examining evidence. "Emily, that's definitely him, right?" I nodded. "He's older, but yeah, same smile, same scar on his chin." She looked up, whispering, "So what now? You're just gonna go there?" I need to know. 5 hours later, I was pulling into Asheville, my heart pounding like I was committing a crime. The auto shop from the photo still existed, faded sign, same name. I parked across the street and waited, hands gripping the steering wheel. Then I saw him. An older man stepped out of the garage, wiping his hands on a rag. Not my dad, too gray, too tall, but maybe someone who knew him. I walked up, the photo clutched tight in my hand. "Excuse me, I'm looking for someone who might have worked here a while back. Michael Carter?" He froze, eyes narrowing. "Who's asking?" "I am his daughter." Something shifted in his expression, recognition, then caution. "He didn't go by that name here." My pulse skipped. "What name then?" "Mike Dawson," he said slowly. "Haven't heard that name in what, 15 years? He was here?" "Sure was. Hard worker, quiet. Said he'd moved down from Virginia. Never talked much about his past, though. Always looked like he was waiting for something." "Waiting?" "Yeah, like someone was supposed to find him, but never did." I swallowed hard. "Do you know where he went?" The man shook his head. "Left one morning. No goodbye, no explanation. Just gone. Boss said he got spooked after a couple of suits came asking questions about him." My breath caught. What kind of questions? Didn't say, but they weren't friendly. Government types, maybe. He studied me carefully. "You sure you want to dig into this, kid? Some people fake their deaths for a reason." I forced a shaky smile. "Maybe, but I deserve to know what reason." He nodded, like he understood too well. "If you're smart, you'll leave it alone." I can't. Back in my car, I stared at the photo again. Mike Dawson. It didn't sound like a man running from crime. It sounded like someone running from fear. As I started the engine, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. A woman's voice, cold and sharp, said, "Emily Carter, stop looking for him." My chest went cold. "Who is this?" A pause. Then, "If you love your mother, you'll stop." The line went dead. I sat there frozen, the photo shaking in my hand. Someone knew what I was doing and they wanted me to stop. I didn't sleep that night. The woman's voice from the call looped in my head like static. "If you love your mother, you'll stop." Who even says that? Who even knows enough to say it? By sunrise, I was still in my car, parked outside a cheap motel. I stared at the cracked ceiling and thought, either I turn back or I find the ghost my mom swore was buried. I chose the ghost. At 9, I went back to the shop. The same man, Sam, his name tag said, was smoking out front, a coffee in his other hand. He squinted when he saw me. "You again? Guess you didn't take my advice." "Guess not," I said, holding out my phone. "That picture, do you remember when this was taken?" Sam blew smoke, thinking, "Early 2010, maybe?" Mike had been here a year. Quiet guy, good with engines. Kept to himself mostly, but he was kind. Brought donuts every Friday. I smiled faintly. That sounded like the man in the photo. "Did he ever mention a family? A wife? A daughter?" He hesitated. "Yeah, once. Said he had a little girl he missed. Said she had your eyes." My breath caught. Did he say why he couldn't see her? "He didn't have to. You could see it ate him alive." He motioned toward the garage. "Come on, there's something you should see." Inside, the air smelled of oil and dust. Sam rummaged through a drawer and pulled out an old Polaroid, yellowed at the edges. My heart skipped when I saw my dad, Mike Dawson, laughing with Sam and a few other mechanics. He gave that to me when he left. Told me to keep it safe. Said someone might come looking one day. My hands trembled. He said that? Word for word. I stared at my father's face. Older, but still him. Still alive. Then Sam lowered his voice. "You should know something else. A couple weeks before he disappeared, 2 guys in suits came asking for him. One of them showed a badge, said Mike was under investigation. Fraud, embezzlement, something like that. But it didn't sit right. Why not? Because one of them slipped me a card. No agency name, no number, just a symbol. A black triangle." "A triangle?" I frowned. "Yeah. Creepy thing. Like it meant something only he'd recognize." My head spun. "Did you keep it?" Sam nodded and pulled a small box from the drawer. Inside was a business card, blank, except for that triangle embossed dead center. I took it carefully. The paper was thick, expensive, and there was something faint, almost invisible, printed under the symbol. Dawson, my father's alias. By the time I pulled into our driveway, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely kill the engine. I'd driven straight from Asheville, hours on the road with nothing but questions screaming in my head and that black triangle card burning a hole in my pocket. Mom's car was in the driveway, lights on in the kitchen, like any other normal evening, like nothing was wrong. I walked in quietly. She was at the counter, chopping vegetables, humming that same tune she always hummed when she wanted to seem calm. "Hey, sweetheart," she said without looking up. "You're home early. Thought you were staying with Sophie." I was, until I drove to Asheville. The knife stopped mid-slice. Her shoulders stiffened, but she didn't turn around. "What did you just say?" "I found Dad," I said, voice trembling but steady enough. "Whitaker Auto, Asheville. He worked there for years, Mom, under a fake name." She slowly turned to face me. Her face was pale, her eyes unreadable. "You shouldn't have gone there." "Then tell me why! Tell me why my father had to fake his death! Tell me why I grew up lighting candles for someone who wasn't even dead!" Her mouth opened, then closed. She set the knife down with a soft click. "You don't understand what you're asking." "Then make me understand," I shouted. "Because right now, all I have are lies. Yours." She leaned against the counter, looking 10 years older. "Your father wasn't the man you think he was." "Don't do that," I said. "Don't give me that cryptic protective parent speech. Just tell me the truth." She exhaled shakily. "He got involved with dangerous people. He wasn't a criminal, but he was close enough to one. He worked for a firm that laundered money through shell accounts. When he found out, he tried to expose it. They found out he was the leak. And you helped him fake his death?" Her eyes met mine, cold, tired, honest. "I helped him survive." I stepped closer. "So why keep lying to me? Why not tell me when I was old enough?" Her voice cracked. "Because they were watching me, Emily, for years. They made sure I stayed quiet. Every time I thought it was safe, something would happen. A phone call, a letter, a car parked outside her house. You think I didn't want to tell you? I was terrified they'd come for you next." I stared at her, the truth twisting something deep inside me. "Someone already has." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I got a call. A woman. She said, if you love your mother, stop looking for him. And when I was leaving Asheville, someone took my picture." For a moment, her composure completely shattered. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." She grabbed her phone, started dialing, then stopped mid-number, breathing hard. "Mom, who are you calling?" She looked at me, terrified. "Someone who can help us." "Help us with what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she went to the window and peered through the blinds. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They found us." My heart slammed against my ribs. "Who?" Before I could finish, a car engine roared outside, the same low growl I'd heard in Asheville. Black SUV, parked right across the street. Mom's hand trembled as she locked the door. "Emily," she whispered, eyes glistening, "whatever happens, you run. Do you hear me?" I shook my head. No more running. I want answers." Her face broke. Fear, regret, love, all tangled into one. "Then you'd better be ready for the truth, because it's about to come knocking." We didn't sleep that night. Mom kept pacing the living room, whispering to herself, checking the locks every 10 minutes. I sat on the couch with the photo and the card in my hands, staring at the black triangle like it might start explaining itself. When dawn broke, The SUV was gone, but the fear wasn't. Mom finally sat down across from me. She said, "We can't stay here. Pack a bag. We leave in an hour." "Leave?" I said. "No, not until you tell me what's going on." She rubbed her temples. "Emily, please, this isn't a game. Those people are dangerous." "I don't care. I deserve the truth. Who are they? Who are you running from all these years?" Her eyes flickered to the window before she spoke. "The triangle. It's the mark of a private organization. Black Ridge Financial. They're not a bank, not a company. There's something in between. They hide money for people who can't afford to be seen having it. Criminals. Politicians. CEOs. People who think they're untouchable." "And Dad worked for them?" She nodded. "He didn't know at first. He thought it was just consulting. But when he found out where the money was coming from, arms deals, trafficking, he tried to report it. That's when the threats started." I stared at her. "So you helped him disappear?" "I had to. They killed the man who tried to help him. The night Michael staged the accident, I thought I was saving you." "Saving me from what? The truth?" Her voice cracked. "From becoming a target." The room fell quiet. The clock ticked. I whispered, "He wrote to you after. I found his letters." Her eyes closed like I'd stabbed her. "I know. You didn't answer him?" "Because if I did, they would have found him. They monitored my mail for years, Emily. Every call, every email. He told me once, if I stay away, they'll stay away from you. So you just let me think he was dead?" I thought it was mercy. "Mercy? You let me grieve for someone who was still breathing?" She looked at me helplessly. "If you'd known, you would have gone looking. You would have done exactly what you're doing now." She wasn't wrong. A knock shattered the silence. Both of us froze. 3 slow taps, then nothing. Mom whispered, "Go upstairs." "Mom, now..." I crept halfway up the stairs, peering through the railing as she cracked the door open. A man stood outside, tall, wearing a dark coat. He looked calm, too calm. He said, "Diane, it's been a long time." Her voice dropped. "Get off my porch, Gavin." That name sent a chill through me. He smiled faintly. "You know why I'm here. She's looking for him. That's a problem. She's my daughter. Stay away from her." "You know the rules, Diane. You can't run forever. He's not the only one they want now." My heart slammed against my ribs. Gavin's gaze drifted past her shoulder, straight to me. "Ah," he said, smiling wider. "There she is." Mom slammed the door and locked it, breathing hard. "Pack your things, Emily. We're leaving now." Who was that? "The reason your father can never come home, and if we don't move fast, neither can we." We were halfway out the door when I stopped. Something in me refused to run. Not again, not without answers. I grabbed Mom's wrist and said, "No more hiding. I'm not leaving until you tell me everything." "Emily," she said. "No," I snapped. "You said Dad was trying to do the right thing. If that's true, then he deserves for someone to finish what he started." Her eyes filled with something between fury and grief. "You sound just like him." "Good." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she sighed, defeated, and reached for her purse. From the inner pocket, she pulled out a small, sealed envelope. The paper was yellowed, the handwriting unmistakable. My father's. I froze. "You had one all this time?" She whispered. "I was supposed to destroy it. He mailed it a year after he disappeared. I couldn't bring myself to burn it." She handed it to me with shaking fingers. "If you read it, there's no going back. Once you know, you can't unknow." I tore it open. "My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, it means your mother finally stopped protecting my mistakes. I know you must hate me. You probably should. But there are things bigger than love and regret. Things that could hurt you if you don't understand them. I didn't die in that car crash. I made it happen. I had to. People I trusted wanted me gone, and I couldn't risk them finding you. They call themselves Blackridge. You'll know their symbol, a black triangle. If anyone carrying it finds you, run. Don't ask questions. There's a file. The evidence I gathered before I disappeared. I hid it in the one place no one would ever think to look. The cabin by Lake Duval. You remember it, don't you? Where you learned to fish. Find it and you'll know everything. If I'm still alive, I'll be waiting there. Dad. My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped the letter. He's alive. He's still out there. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Emily, we don't know that. He said he'd be waiting at the cabin. Why didn't you go? Because they were watching me, she said, voice trembling. If I went near that place, they'd know he'd left something there. I grabbed my keys. Then I'll go. She grabbed my arm. No! You don't understand. Blackridge doesn't forgive. If they find you near that file, they already found me once, I said, cutting her off. And if Dad's still alive, he's been running long enough. Her voice broke. Emily, please don't do this. I have to. I left before she could stop me. The night was quiet. Too quiet. My headlights cut through the darkness as I drove toward Lake Duval. Halfway there, my phone buzzed. A new text from an unknown number. Stop digging. You won't like what you find. I swallowed hard but kept driving. An hour later, I reached the cabin. Small, silent, just as I remembered from childhood. The door creaked open easily. Dust covered everything. I stepped inside, heart hammering, and searched every drawer, every floorboard. Finally, behind the old stone fireplace, I found it. A metal box marked Carter. When I opened it, I found files, photographs, and a flash drive labeled Blackridge Internal. And taped to the lid, another letter. Emily, if you're reading this, they found me again. Don't trust anyone, not even the ones who say they're protecting you. Especially not Gavin. The sound of a twig snapping outside made me freeze. Headlights glowed through the trees. They'd found me. The headlights outside the cabin didn't move. They just sat there, cutting through the trees like two white eyes, watching me breathe. For a second, I couldn't move. The letter in my hand crinkled, Dad's warning echoing in my head. Don't trust anyone, especially not Gavin. Then the engine revved. I killed the lights, grabbed the metal box, and ducked behind the couch just as the front door splintered open. Two men, flashlights, black jackets. One of them said, "Search everything, she's here." My pulse thundered in my ears. They started turning furniture, smashing drawers. Every sound felt like a heartbeat too loud. The floorboards creaked behind me. I caught a glimpse of one man's face. Cold eyes, surgical calm. He wasn't here to talk. I slipped toward the back door, every step a prayer. The hinges groaned when I opened it. Both flashlights swung my way. "Hey!" one shouted. I bolted. The forest swallowed me whole. Branches whipped my arms as I ran, clutching the box tight to my chest. Behind me, shouts, footsteps, flashlights slicing through the dark. "Stop! You can't outrun this!" I didn't answer. I just ran harder. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but all I could think about was the file inside the box, my father's proof, the thing they'd kill to bury. I reached the old dock at the edge of the lake. Water glimmered black under the moonlight. The only sound was the ripple of waves and the pounding of my pulse. Nowhere left to go. Unless I pried open the box, pulled out the flash drive, and shoved it into the waterproof pocket of my jacket. Then I dropped the rest, papers, letters, everything, into the lake. The splash echoed. Behind me, branches cracked. The two men stepped out of the trees, guns drawn. "Where is it?" one demanded. "Gone," I said, breathless. He sneered. "You're lying. Check the water." He did. Flashlight sweeping over the surface. The papers were already sinking. The other men cursed. boss isn't gonna like this." "Then tell him to come get me himself," I said. For a moment, we just stared at each other, predator and prey, neither willing to blink first. Then a new voice cut through the night. "That won't be necessary." I turned. Gavin. He stepped into the moonlight, immaculate as ever. Black coat, smooth smile, eyes full of poison. "Hello again, Emily. You followed me." "Of course I did," he said softly. "You're very predictable, just like your father." "What do you want?" "The drive," he said simply. "That's all." "You mean the one I just threw in the lake?" He smiled wider. "No. The one you slipped into your pocket before you did. You're clever, but I've been watching you a long time." My stomach dropped. He took a step closer. "Hand it over and maybe I can convince them you're useful." "Useful? To find your father." That stopped me cold. "He's alive?" Gavin's eyes glittered. "For now." I hesitated, every muscle screaming not to trust him. Then from somewhere behind him, headlights flared. Another car roaring down the dirt road. He turned, distracted. I ran. Bullets tore through the air behind me as I dove into the lake. The water hit like ice. I kicked hard, deeper, away from the light, clutching the flash drive in my fist. When I surfaced again, the cabin was burning. Flames lit the roof, shadows moving inside the firelight. Gavin's men shouted orders, searching the shore. I slipped under the dock, gasping, heart pounding. Dad's last words echoed in my head. "Don't trust anyone. Especially not Gavin." Now I understood why. By the time I reached the road, dawn was breaking, pale light cutting through the mist that rolled off the lake. My clothes clung to me, heavy and cold, but the flash drive was still in my pocket. Proof that I wasn't losing my mind. Proof that Dad was telling the truth. I walked until my legs gave out, until I saw a payphone outside an old gas station. My fingers shook as I dialed home. Mom answered on the second ring. "Emily?" Her voice cracked with relief and fear. "Where are you? I've been calling all night." "I found it, Mom. The evidence. I have the flash drive." A sharp breath. "Oh God, listen to me. Throw it away. Right now." "I'm not throwing away the only thing Dad risked his life for." She was silent for a long beat, then quietly. "Where are you?" "I'm not telling you until you tell me the truth." "Emily?" "No. Gavin was there, at the cabin. He said you know him. He said you've known him for years." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Come home, please." "I'm not coming home until you tell me what you're hiding." There was a long pause, and then she said softly, "Then come to the old church on Bramble Road, noon. And come alone." The line went dead. The church was half collapsed, its steeple leaning like a broken finger. I parked across the street and waited. Mom's car arrived 10 minutes later. She got out slowly, eyes scanning the empty road before she walked toward me. "Inside," she said. I followed her through the creaking doors. Sunlight streamed through cracked stained glass, scattering colors across the dust. "Start talking," I said. She turned to face me. "You want the truth? Fine. Gavin was your father's handler." I blinked. "Handler?" "When your father went undercover to expose Blackridge, Gavin was his contact. He was supposed to protect us, but he sold him out." My chest tightened. "So Gavin, he's the reason Dad disappeared?" "He's the reason everything went wrong," she said bitterly. "When your father found out Gavin was leaking information, he tried to run. Gavin made sure the hit went through. We faked Michael's death before they could finish the job." I stared at her, my stomach twisting. "So you knew Gavin was alive, working for them, and you didn't tell me?" I couldn't. "He kept me on a leash, watched my accounts, my phone. If I said anything, he'd kill Michael or you." I pulled the flash drive from my pocket. "Then this is what he's after?" Her eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" "The cabin. Dad left it for me." She took a shaky step back. "You don't understand. That drive doesn't just expose Blackridge. It exposes everyone. Judges, senators, people who've built their empires on blood money. Then it needs to go public." "Emily, no." Mom, Dad died or disappeared trying to do the right thing. I'm not letting it rot in the dark because you're scared. Her expression softened with something like heartbreak. I'm not scared for me. Then for who? For you. Before I could answer, the doors behind us groaned open. Gavin's voice echoed through the church. Touching reunion. Mom's face drained of color. He stepped into the light, calm, composed, like he'd already won. I told you, Diane, you can't outrun Blackridge. And now, thanks to your daughter, you've brought us everything we need. He looked at me, that same poisonous smile curling his lips. Give me the drive, Emily, or I'll finish what your father started. Gavin's footsteps echoed through the hollow church like slow, deliberate clock ticks. He carried no gun that I could see, just that confident smirk that said he didn't need one. Stay behind me, Mom whispered, stepping between us. I told you, Gavin said softly. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want what's mine. The truth isn't yours, I snapped. Oh, but it is. Your father worked for my project. He helped build the network that let us move billions without leaving a trace. He thought he could destroy it, but all he did was give me leverage. Mom's hand tightened at her side. You destroyed everything we had. Gavin tilted his head, pretending to be hurt. Don't act innocent, Diane. You helped him. You're the one who forged the death certificate, moved the money, arranged the accident. You were one of us. My stomach dropped. What? Mom's eyes filled with tears. Emily, I had no choice. You were part of them? For a while, before I knew what they were doing, before your father, before everything went wrong. Gavin laughed. Don't rewrite history. You were very good at it, Diane. We could have been unstoppable. Until I realized what you were willing to do to keep it running, she said, her voice trembling with rage. You killed him, Gavin. You took away everything. He smiled. Who said he's dead? The world tilted. What? I whispered. He looked at me. Your father isn't dead, Emily. He's been working for me. 4 years. No, I said, shaking my head. You're lying. He shrugged. Am I? He's the one who gave us the location of the cabin. How do you think we found you so fast? I turned to Mom. She looked broken, lost. No, he wouldn't. Gavin reached into his coat and pulled out a small device. He pressed a button and a voice filled the air. Grainy, tired, but familiar. Gavin, it's Michael. I'll hand it over. Just don't touch my daughter. My heart stopped. It was him, my father. See, Gavin said quietly, he made his choice for you. No, Mom whispered, you're twisting it. Gavin smiled. Believe what you want, but he's waiting for you, Emily. If you come with me, I'll show you the truth your mother's been hiding. For a moment, everything froze. Mom's tears, Gavin's smirk, the broken sunlight spilling across the church floor. Then a voice echoed from the back doorway. Don't listen to him. We turned. A man stood in the shadows. Leaner, older, his hair gray at the temples, but his eyes. I knew those eyes. Dad, I whispered. Gavin's smile vanished. You shouldn't be here. Dad stepped forward. You said you'd leave her out of this. She wouldn't stop looking, Gavin said coldly. You know how that ends. Dad's eyes met mine, tired, full of regret. Emily, give me the drive. I hesitated. Tell me it's really you. It's me, sweetheart. And if you give it to him, we're all dead. Gavin reached for his gun. The sound of the safety clicking back echoed like thunder. Dad raised his own weapon. Step away from my family. For the first time, Gavin's smile faltered. For a heartbeat, the church felt suspended in time. Sunlight frozen through stained glass, dust hanging mid-air, 3 lives aimed at one another like loaded guns. Gavin smirked, gun raised. You won't shoot me, Michael. You never could. Dad's hand didn't tremble. Try me. I stood between them, the flash drive in my palm, the tiny piece of metal that had burned half our lives to ash. Stop, I shouted. No more lies, no more threats. Someone tell me the truth. Gavin's tone softened, almost kind. The truth, Emily, is that your father betrayed us. He took millions in classified accounts, claimed he was exposing corruption, and ran. Your mother helped him vanish, and when I tried to clean it up, she painted me as the villain. Liar, Dad said. I tried to save people. You were selling government intel to foreign buyers. You turned Blackridge into a weapon. Gavin's smile turned razor sharp. You think anyone will believe you, Michael? You're a ghost. The dead don't testify? Then maybe the living will, I said. I held up the flash drive. Every transaction, every name, every wire transfer is on this. And when it goes public, Blackridge burns. Gavin laughed once, low and amused. You think one drive changes anything? People like me don't go to prison, sweetheart. We buy it. Then I'll burn it all down, I said, voice shaking. Every secret, every name. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe. Real for the first time. Then he moved. The shot was deafening. Mom screamed. Gavin staggered, dropping his gun, blood spreading across his shoulder. Dad's weapon smoked. I warned you, Dad said, his voice breaking. Gavin laughed weakly, pressing his hand to the wound. You can kill me, but it's too late. The system doesn't die with one man. Dad stepped closer, his jaw tight. Maybe not, but it starts here. We left him there, sirens already echoing faintly in the distance. Mom helped Dad limp toward the doors, sunlight spilling through shattered glass like redemption. Outside, the air was cold and clean. Dad, I said softly, they'll come after us. I know. So what now? He looked at me, pride and sadness mixing in his eyes. Now you finish what I started. 2 days later, the world changed. The files hit the internet anonymously. News anchors said the source was unknown. But I saw my father's handwriting on every line of code. Blackridge exposed, the headline screamed. Senators resigned. CEOs vanished. Arrests followed like dominoes. And then silence. Dad disappeared again before dawn. No note, no goodbye, just gone, like smoke on the horizon. Mom said it was better that way, safer, but I saw the way she stared at the door, hoping. I didn't tell her about the message that arrived a week later. An unmarked envelope, no return address. Inside, a single photograph. My father standing in front of the diner somewhere in the desert, smiling, free. On the back in his familiar handwriting, the truth's out now. Live your life, Em. Don't look for me. A month later, I sat at my desk, typing the first words of the story, not as revenge, but as release. My mom lied about my dad, but the truth didn't destroy us. It set us free. Outside, thunder rolled over the horizon. Somewhere, deep down, I knew my father was watching. And this time, I wasn't afraid of the truth anymore. It's been 3 years since the world caught fire. Blackridge is gone. Or at least the version that lived in headlines and government files is. The rest, the invisible rot that lives under the surface of power, still breathes. You can't kill something like that. You can only drag it into the light and hope it burns slowly. Mom and I moved out of the old house a few months after everything ended. Too many ghosts there. The smell of burnt coffee. The echo of lies that used to sound like bedtime stories. We live near the coast now, in a small town where no one knows the name Carter. She teaches part-time at the library. I write. Sometimes she catches me staring out at the sea, fingers twitching over my keyboard, and she smiles the same tired, beautiful smile she used to wear when I was little. Thinking about him again? She always asks. And I always tell her the same thing. Always. But I don't say, how? There's a drawer in my desk I never lock. A single envelope inside, yellowed from the sun. It's the last letter he sent. The truth's out now. Live your life, Em. don't look for me. I used to read it every night. Now I take it out only when the world feels too quiet, when I need to remind myself that ghosts don't always mean loss. Sometimes they mean love that learned to hide. Mom and I talk about him more now, freely, without the weight of guilt between us. She tells stories I'd never heard, how he made her laugh when the power went out, how they used to dream about opening a bookstore by the beach. Sometimes she still cries when she talks about the years she lost to fear. I do too. Forgiveness wasn't a single moment. It was a slow, messy thing. A dozen little choices to keep calling, keep listening, keep showing up even when silence would have been easier. The book I wrote, The Lie That Saved Me, sits on the shelf beside her favorite novels. It's not a bestseller, but people read it. They send letters. Strangers who whisper that my story made them look at their own families, their own secrets, with a little more mercy. And maybe that's what all of this was for. Not justice, not revenge, just the chance to turn pain into something honest. Sometimes, late at night, I drive to the cliffs where the ocean meets the dark. There's a diner up the road. Old, forgotten. The one from the photo he sent. I sit outside my car, engine off, watching the lights flicker from the window. A man sometimes sits at the counter. Gray hair, weathered face. I never go in. I never need to. I already know. He's safe. That's enough. Mom joined me once on a quiet evening when the sky looked like fire fading into ash. We didn't speak for a long time. Then she reached over and took my hand. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked. She looked at the horizon and smiled. "No, the truth hurt, but it gave you back your father, and it gave me back my daughter." The waves rolled against the rocks below, steady, endless, forgiving. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel haunted, just whole.